All right, question number 5 asks you, would you expect oil that contains high levels of stearic acid to melt more easily than oil containing mostly palmitic acid? So, and then explain. All right, so we have to understand what the difference between stearic acid and palmitic acid is. Well, both are saturated fatty acids, so they contain no double bonds. The only difference between them is the number of carbons. So stearic acid has 18 carbons, whereas palmitic acid has 16. Right, so stearic acid is obviously the longer fatty acid. Now, the longer a molecule is for the fatty acids, the more contact that fatty acid can make with similar fatty acids. And all these contact points are being held together by London dispersion forces. All right, so basically with a longer fatty acid, there's more attractive force between one fatty acid and another fatty acid. So because of this, it requires more energy to break all those bonds and cause the fatty acids to move past one another. So in general, the shorter fatty acid will be able to melt easier and become a liquid easier than a longer chain fatty acid. So palmitic acid will melt more easily than stearic acid. All right. And then the follow-up question, what about stearic acid versus oleic acid? All right, well, stearic acid is 18.0, oleic acid is 18.1. So oleic acid is a saturated, or oleic acid is an unsaturated, fatty acid. It has a double bond in it. So because of this oleic acid, the double bonds in the fatty acids, first of all, create kinks in the structure of that fatty acid. So this makes it harder for a unsaturated fatty acid to pack next to other unsaturated fatty acids. So because of this, if it's more difficult for them to pack next to one another, that means there's less London dispersion forces attracting them and holding them together. So because of that it is much easier to melt a unsaturated fatty acid as opposed to a saturated fatty acid. So oleic acid melts more easily than stearic acid. And that is it for number 5.